Hello, everyone. So, this is our first ever episode on this new channel. This channel is called Ballin, and we're just here to share our thoughts on football and basketball.
Yeah.
I'm Tarek. I'm a Seahawks fan. I got my boy Razine here.
So
He's also a Seahawks fan.
I'm also a
He's
Lakers fan too.
fan.
Lakers fan, Lakers
Yeah.
Nation. So
I know we got a Lakers fan. I mean, I'm full Seattle, but I don't really got an NBA team, but we'll figure. You know, I'm just
I
I'm a bus rider, if you know what I
have
mean.
the bandwagon. Anyways, this video we're gonna be talking about the Super Bowl and specifically our predictions and a little preview for the Super Bowl tomorrow. Yeah, we're recording this one day before, so trying to give you guys like the most up to date information as possible. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that sounds great. Without that, let's get straight into it.
yep. So we're gonna start with the Eagles roster, right? Mostly their highlighted players, right? On offense, they got Jalen Hurts, who they took in the second round of the 2020 NFL Draft. He's a starting quarterback. He's pretty good. He's not as good as Mahomes, but he's good. Then they have the main weapon, Saquon Barkley, who they got in free agency this year, and he had a record-setting rushing season. He had over 2,000 yards. Insane. They also had AJ Brown, who they got from the Titans in a trade for a first and a third in 2022, and this has paid dividends for them. Devontae Smith, they drafted in the 2021 NFL Draft, and they traded up to draft him, which has also been proved to be a pretty good decision. Jordan Mailata was a steal. They had him like a 6th, 7th round in the 2018 NFL Draft. Fun fact about him, he was a former rugby player who had never played football before. Landon Dickerson, their left guard, was a 2nd round pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, and Lane Johnson, like the cornerstone of their O-line, was a 4th overall pick in the 2013 NFL Draft. As for their defense, they had some big names retire a few years ago, but they've rebounded nicely and reconstructed an amazing defense. They got Nolan Smith, who's one of their premier edge rushers, in the first round last year, in 2023. They also, in the same draft, they drafted his teammate Jalen Carter with a number 9 overall pick. He dipped down because of some incidents that happened off the court, but they traded up to get him, and he's insane. He's really good. I wish my Seahawks drafted him, but I'm happy with Spoon. So yeah. Then the linebacker, they have Zach Bond, who's the number 74th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, and they signed him off of free agency on a 1-year contract, and that's going to be pretty good. It's Howie Roseman's been insane. Anyways, and then they got Quinyon Mitchell, the corner, in the first round this year, and they got Darius Slay in 2013, and they traded for him in 2020. Really good. And Cooper DeJean, the white boy corner, 2nd round pick this year, and he's insane. He's insane. But yeah, I'm gonna hand over to him.
Yeah. So the Chiefs, certainly on paper, not as good as the Eagles, but they do have some stalwarts on their team, not including the refs. But we're not gonna do that. Do that game. So you got Mahomes. I mean, his PFF grade is over 90. He's excellent. If he wins this Super Bowl, there's an argument that he passes Joe Montana as the 2nd greatest quarterback in the history of our sport. He's just very good at decision making. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's very accurate. Pretty much you have everything you need from a quarterback. He's got some mobility, which is pretty good. You look at their running back room, it's kind of by committee, but Kareem Hunt has done well in these playoffs. He was drafted out of Toledo in 2017. Their receiver room it's nothing insane, but they do have some fun pieces like Xavier Worthy, who's a fast receiver. Rashee Rice, good route runner, and then Hopkins is a good deep threat.
Yeah, but Rashee Rice is out though, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So they'll probably have to get some kind of by committee help. Travis Kelce is another important piece for them. His records are just unmatched. He's also got a PFF grade over 90. And then really the best part of this offense, though, outside of Mahomes, is the interior of their offensive line. Joe Tooney, Trey Smith, and Creed Humphrey all have been excellent this season. And together, they, they play a really good physical brand of football. And their bread and butter plays are just giving it to Kareem Hunt, letting him run between the tackles, and just getting 4 or 5 yards per game. And this is kind of the personnel where they can match up with a Jalen Carter, a Milton Williams, and some of your D linemen on the Eagles. As far as their defense is pretty well rated. They only allowed 19 points per game, and they only allowed about 320 rushing yards per game, or not rushing, sorry, total yards per game. And just some of the standouts, Karlaftis and Chris Jones, especially, pass rushing and on their run stopping are both pretty good. Their linebacker core is very good with Bolton, Chanel, and Tranquil. All of them are good run stoppers and very solid in coverage. So, they're not going to stop Saquon Barkley. He's going to get his numbers, but they can at least limit some of the big explosive plays, and that'll make it so Jalen Hurts has to beat you with his arm, I think. And then their secondary is very young, but it is reliable. You've got McDuffie from Washington,
Yes,
and
sir.
then you've got Watson and Hicks both from Washington State. So, we got a little in-state rivalry going on.
Yeah.
I
I go to Washington, so I'm a Washington guy, and Wazoo's not. They're ops.
But the biggest, I think, the biggest roster question mark is going to be Jake Elliott against Mr. The interesting guy, Harrison Butker. I mean, he says some comments, but he is a pretty good kicker, and Jake Elliott is kind of on the down low. So we'll see if that plays a role at all in these playoffs. But I'm gonna let my boy go to coaching, and we'll start with the Eagles.
Yeah, so the Eagles head coach is Nick Sirianni, a D3 football legend. He's a pretty young coach. He only took over a few years ago, but since he's taken over, he's had the highest regular season winning percentage amongst all coaches in the National Football League at 70%. And all times like 5th or something. Only like the great coaches like John Madden ahead of him, right? He lost to Andy Reid in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, so that might play might have some mental games going on in his head. But the roster is completely transformed since then, and Jalen Hurts has had the experience of going through a Super Bowl loss and actually knows how to play a Super Bowl now. So I'm gonna hand it over to Tarn.
See, I got one quick question for you though.
Yeah.
What does Nick Sirianni actually do?
He coaches the team. No,
Sure?
Kellen Moore is kind of pivotal to their success this year as well as offensive coordinator. His RPO scheme has been insane. I'm gonna get to that in a little bit after you finish the section, but yeah.
Okay. So he quote unquote coaches the team, but it's really the coordinators. So as for the Chiefs, I mean, Andy Reid, his resume speaks for himself. He was kind of a failure in Philadelphia, but he got Patrick Mahomes, and they won 3 Super Bowls. He has an excellent regular season record, with I think a winning percentage of 65%. And he has 273 regular season wins. So he is slowly starting to catch up to Bill Belichick, for that next sort of pedestal. He's an offensive coach. He's a multiple-time coach of the year.
Which I just want to stop you real quick. I think he got 300 wins actually.
Oh, 300 wins. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him he got 300 wins the other day. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He's very good at developing quarterbacks. Even in Philly, I called him a failure, but he obviously, he was still better than many coaches at that time. And I think the other coach I want to mention briefly is Steve Spagnuolo, who is the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs. He was previously kind of a failed head coach, but he's a multiple-time Super Bowl champion, and he is, he's renowned for his defensive schemes and his ability to adapt. And the Chiefs' defense, in particular, has been really pivotal in these last three Super Bowl runs. And it's not. The Chiefs have had kind of a middling offense statistically at times, and their defense has just kept them in games. And then Mahomes is very good in the clutch. So we'll go ahead and get into this team now, and we'll start with the Eagles.
Yeah, so Steve Spagnuolo is gonna have a hard time stopping this Eagles offense. Kellen Moore has done his thing. The RPO and spread concepts that they run are great because Jalen Hurts also has like the threat with his legs. So that just keeps the defenses on like their feet because like you don't know if they're gonna pass to AJ Brown, pass to Devontae Smith, or run Saquon Barkley, or Jalen Hurts run it with himself too, right? And speaking of Saquon Barkley, they have a strong running game, the second most rushing yards in the NFL this year, and Saquon Barkley had over 2,000 yards, which is like only like 8 other running backs have done that in their whole career. The tush push QB sneak is pivotal for those short yardage situations. Even with Jason Kelce retiring, they've been able to, still be able to do it with great success. Vertical passing attack with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith really just stretches the defenses and opens up the running lanes for Saquon Barkley. Because you gotta pick your poison, right? You have AJ Brown, arguably like one of the best receivers in the NFL, right? He's basically like a DK Metcalf, or better DK Metcalf. And then Devontae Smith is like a quick receiver who can also run deep routes and like open up everything, right? And then Kellen Moore has streamlined the scheme, focusing on the RPO efficiency and maximizing the strengths, right? And as for the defense, the Eagles have a deep D line, so they can like rotate the players, and they run a mix of a 4-3 and a 5-2 front, right? They have an aggressive pass rush. They love attacking the quarterback. Like I mentioned, they have some really good edge pieces like Nolan Smith. And then for their coverages, they run a cover 3 and cover 4 to limit the big plays, right? And they also have some nickel and hybrid looks where they showcase Cooper DeJean, their standout rookie. And then for the run defense, they play very downhill to stop the run. Like they have linebackers, safeties crashing down, and they're very turnover focused, and they love like flying around, making plays. I'm gonna hand it over and to do the Chiefs breakdown.
So we'll start with the Chiefs offense. They run a West Coast offense scheme in Kansas City, which is sort of like a short passing game. It's a lot of shotgun formation, and it's just allows the QB to make reads and the plays are in his hands. So they use a lot of motion. They have a lot of unique formations, and then what this allows them to do is it's Patrick Mahomes that makes all the decisions. So, they'll have 4 routes. You'll have your hot route, and Mahomes is so good at processing all that information. He just makes the right read, and they'll drive the field very well. And Andy Reid has designed this offense specifically for Mahomes. I think the other thing they use pretty effectively is the RPO offense. So RPO is run pass option for those who don't know, and basically they'll have Kareem Hunt just line up either next to Mahomes or in the backfield because they run it from shotgun a lot, and then they'll have one receiver who's the primary hunt route, and they'll either throw it at that receiver if he gets a favorable matchup, or they'll just run it to Kareem Hunt. And because of the interior I mentioned earlier, they're able to get good yardage. There is some question marks with the tackle play, so that does limit what they can do at times. So, like, you probably haven't seen the Chiefs take enough deep shots this year, but I'm sure that, I'm sure the Chiefs are going to move the pocket a lot. They're going to, they're going to chip the edge rushers at all times. They might use extra protection, like a 6th offensive lineman. So they're going to pull out all the stops to create some extra time for Mahomes, and that way you can get the ball to guys like Xavier Worthy, who's a really fast receiver, downfield. As for the defense, have a very aggressive blitzing scheme. So Spagnuolo likes to send extra rushers. If you look at the linebackers they have, all three of them are very fast, very good at reading gaps and maintaining gap integrity. And that's going to be critical for slowing Saquon Barkley down, but also getting to Jalen Hurts when they do have straight drop back passes. Third down is going to be very huge in this game. The Chiefs do have the personnel to match up with the Eagles' offensive line, who I know on paper look very good, but they have had some question marks with Cam Jurgens, and Landon Dickerson and Tyler Steen at times, who have played in the kind of interior. Mekhi Becton as well, who's done a very good job for the Eagles, but they've been vulnerable at times. So you can get some extra pressure there, and that's why I think Chris Jones is going to be critical in this game. He's going to have to show up big time if the Chiefs are going to win. You know, there's no Jason Kelsey to block him anymore. So it's going to be critical for him, you know, to play this really well. And I think, you know, it's not about stopping Saquon Barkley. He's going to get 4 or 5 yards per carry still. But it's about taking those 60-yard touchdown plays and limiting those. I think they need to play single high coverage and make Jalen Hurts beat them. If Jalen Hurts turns out and plays like a top 5 quarterback, then it's a well-deserved win. But I think you can get Jalen Hurts struggling if he's forced to go through his progressions, make reads, play under pressure, you know, every other quarterback has to do that, and he doesn't really have to because he plays in such a QB-friendly scheme. And I think, you know, I think the real question mark, and I'm going to slowly transition into the picks now, is I will take the Chiefs to win this game because of one reason. I think their clutch factor in one-score games is just unmatched. They're 31-6 in one-score games over the last 3 seasons, and they're 8-0 in one-score games over the last 3 playoffs. So they're just so good at keeping the game close. And I think if it's a one-score game going into the fourth quarter, give me Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and the rest of the crew to go get a game-winning drive, and give me the Chiefs defense to make a stop when they need to stop the most. And I have the Chiefs winning this game 27-23.
All right, I have quite a different outcome. So as Taran mentioned, like the Chiefs defense has to stop. Like they can't stop Saquon Barkley. He's still gonna eat. He has 4 or 5 yards of carry. Might not get the big explosive play, but 4 or 5 yards of carry. Like to win a football game, you need to be able to stop the run. And if you can't stop the run, you're not gonna win. So like for that also, so the key matchup, in my opinion, is Chris Jones and the Chiefs D-line against the Eagles O-line. But the Eagles can just run outside, and Chris Jones kind of becomes, you know, not the big of a factor. And then Saquon's still gonna eat. And then if you could run the ball, it'll open up the whole offense, right? And then on the Eagles side, for them to have to win, they have to be able to stop Travis Kelce. Because the key to stopping the Chiefs is stop Travis Kelce. He's Mahomes' favorite target, and he just opens up the game for all the other receivers, the whole offense, right? And to do that, it's going to be a tall task for Cooper DeJean, but he can get some help from the linebackers and just have like outside the edges chip Travis Kelce when he's going on his routes. And I feel like if they can do that, the Eagles will win. And the Eagles just have a much better roster, in my opinion. And for that, I have the Eagles winning 24, the Chiefs 17. It's going to be a defensive battle, but the Eagles are going to get it done.
Yeah, and I think the overall kind of test for this game are going to be, will the better roster win, or will the better coach and quarterback win? And I think, you know, that's the 2 lines of thinking, and we'll see what happens. So, you know,
whatever the outcome, we're gonna get a legendary quote from Jalen Hurts. Yeah.
I mean, Jalen Hurts. You know, I watched Drew Lock outplay him when Jalen Hurts had a pretty mediocre roster. I saw I saw Jalen Hurts last season, and I can't shake that because I feel like if Jalen Hurts is in situations where he has to make the plays versus Saquon making the plays, I feel like Saquon, if you can just limit him in some ways, with Derrick Henry, they always talk about tackle him at the ankles so he can't get downfield, downhill running. And I think the Chiefs, they do have some good edge rushers. Karlaftis in particular is very good at setting the edge, so I think they have the personnel to match up on defense. And I think we're gonna get a really fun game, and I'll let Racine have the last word, and then we'll go ahead and get on out of here.
Yeah, I really just think it's gonna come down to if they can stop Saquon or not, and I just don't think they can they can limit him, but they can't stop him. And if you can't stop him, the Eagles offense is too good. So yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up our video. Just a recap: Tarn had the Chiefs winning 27-23, and I had the Eagles winning 24-17. So if you guys like the video, please leave a like, and don't forget to tell us your picks in the comments below, and subscribe. With that, I guess we're out of here.